I will tell you, my father had a very dear friend. His name was William Warren. He was one of the great American historians. And he used to stay at our home, and he would tell us all about history, American history. And one day he told us this fact, which is really truly amazing, that in 1775, 1776, the British was not the big issue in Boston. And the big issue was where they were going to get firewood. They had to go 40 miles out of Boston to get firewood. Now that was with, ox-driven carts, no chainsaws, axes, splitters. And think how many fireplaces each house in downtown Boston had. These were big early homes. They took a tremendous amount of firewood to keep a house warm. So they had to go, he said, 40 miles out of Boston. So the revolution was not so important. Trying to stay warm was more. And so if they were out of wood by 1770, 1775, you can imagine how much wood the English, they were making homes, furniture, firewood, everything. Buildings, everything was made out of wood. There was nothing left. And so when the colonists came here, it was like a bonanza. What we did is we pulled some draws, okay? And there's probably half of the furniture in here has white pine as secondary wood. And this is from a chest out in the front hall, which you're welcome to pull the drawers. This chest has survived like the day it was made. That piece was cut probably around 1785, 1795. It looks like it was just cut. And so if it's inside and air is not getting to it, it's not going to get the exposure and it's not going to get darker. So that is a really classic example of white pine, but see the difference in the grain? This has a lot more resin and it weighs 3 times probably what white pine does.
Yeah, this is a really nice example of very pure grain white pine, which goes to the knowledge and the skill and kind of the particularity of the cabinet maker that made this. One of the great indicators of white pine too is usually you'll find very large knots, very large oval knots. You can see a couple on the same board, and sometimes you can kind of follow that knot through the different parts of the furniture, through the different drawers, as that same board was cut into slices to be used over and over again. But this board is so good, and this cabinet maker is so choosy that it's just pure white pine. And it is a very soft wood. There's not much weight to this. There's not much density. And a nice choice of wood.
So what we're going to tell you now is there is actually the difference between what we call primary wood and secondary wood. The primary wood is the wood that you see if you look at the pieces. That would be the cherry, mahogany, walnut, maple, the wood, the show wood that we would see. The secondary wood is like the woods that are used as draw linings. Pine, chestnut, tulip poplar, whitewood, basswood. So those are all woods that are used for the secondary woods, that you're not going to really see. And so this is a really good example of white pine. And then I'll show you another one. And they mixed woods. So
and when you come up, take a look inside this drawer. You can see the knots that are here right up along the inside edge there. I'm sure we can find a couple better knots to show you.
Okay, so this drawer, which comes from that maple highboy right there, the curly maple highboy, that was made in Stonington and figured wood, and it has tulip poplar sides and chestnut bottom. And so this is really important. Chestnut was primarily found in Rhode Island and eastern Connecticut. So if a dealer in Ohio generally finds a piece of furniture with a combination of tulip poplar and chestnut, and they know what they're doing, they'll call Livermore and say, hey, I think we got a piece of Connecticut or Rhode Island furniture, because it was not done in Ohio or Western So this is a big tip-off to where the objects were made. This is an example of chestnut. It's very grainy. And when the cabinet maker, the joiners, the house builders, ran out of oak, red oak and white oak, they then went to chestnut. So when people say, oh, our house is made out of, the whole frame is chestnut, we say, yeah, so what? It really should, to really brag, it should be made out of oak. Because that is a better wood, but after they started to run out of the oak, they switched to the more available chestnut. So okay, this comes from the chestnut frame in the front hall, and where the sides are actually tulip poplar, and the bottoms are chestnut. So why did they do that? Because chestnut grew huge. I mean, they are enormous. We see board, chestnut board, sometimes 20, 25, 28 inches. And it only took one board to do the whole back or the bottoms. Whereas, and that's one piece. That's two. That's two pieces, but it's not unusual to find a whole bottom board of a draw lining to be chestnut in eastern Connecticut and Rhode Island, one big board, because the trees were huge. By the way, something happened, there was a blight, and we're still feeling the effects of the chestnut blight that went through probably about 1900, and they're starting to, the woodsmen are starting to see small saplings out in the woods now, but for some reason they die. And there's something still out there that's killing the chestnut trees.
And this, and actually the sides of this are pine. So, and the bottom is chestnut. And that's really an important aspect to know too. In the vast majority of early American furniture, in New England furniture, you'll find consistency of secondary woods. This drawer is all constructed of white pine. This drawer is from New Hampshire, a piece made in New Hampshire. And Massachusetts, they were pretty specific. If they were going to use white pine, they used all white pine for the secondary, cherry, walnut, or maple for the primary wood. But for some reason, in Connecticut, eastern Connecticut particularly, they started mixing these secondary woods. Chestnut was good and strong, but it's very brittle.